Finally, someone has come to my rescue this month. You see, I've been talking about this move pawn to a3 a lot. In fact, I have more than 5 videos on my channel where I was covering this move a3, including my last published video on this channel. And to be honest, I haven't seen many people covering this move in depth on YouTube, like continuously, and I'm not taking any credits, by the way, just frank talk. In yesterday's World Championship match between Gukesh and Ding, we saw this move pawn to a3 on move number 7 after e4, e6, the French. Anyway, Gukesh played d4, then Ding with black pieces responded with d5, the normal French defense. Knight c3 was played, then knight f6, e5, the classical variation. Ding played knight fd7, then knight ce2, c5, c3, knight c6, and a3. Wait, this is what this video is all about. And I'm not just covering this game. In fact, I'm not even interested in finishing the whole game, doing the whole recap. I mean, my goal is just to show you several other openings where you can make use of this silent but yet effective prophylactic move. So let's start again. We see this move pawn to a3 featuring in the normal French defense advanced variation after e4, e6, d4, d5, then instead of knight c3, the move that Gukesh played, we usually play pawn to e5. This is the advanced variation of the French, nothing wrong with it. In one of my old videos, I advised beginners and intermediate level players to begin with these pawn moves in the opening stage, including a3, and you will see why. After pawn to e5, black usually plays pawn to c5, and then you go pawn to c3. After pawn to c3, black usually plays knight c6, as you can see, and this is when you, as a beginner, can play the move pawn to a3. Yes, the top played move is knight f3, which is normal, but why do I advise beginners and intermediate level players to do what a super grandmaster in the name of Gukesh did? See, when you play knight f3, there's a higher chance you are going to forget about this pawn move, which is key in the advanced variation of the French. So just play pawn to a3. Ensure to complete your first 4 pawn moves in the opening stage against the French if you just want to be safe and simple. And ladies and gentlemen, the whole purpose of playing pawn to a3 is just to go pawn to b4 in the near future. And I should mention to say, pawn to b4 only makes sense if your d pawn is already on d4 in many variations, just like I said yesterday or in my last tutorial video on this channel. In fact, after playing pawn to a3 in this line, your next move can even be pawn to b4 if black continues playing passively. For example, say knight e7. If you want to release tension on the center very quickly, you can go pawn to b4, and what you're telling your opponent is, hey, I'm tired of waiting for you to capture on d4. And believe you me, once you play this move, most of your opponents are going to take, because what else do they know? And this is when you can take back. So the idea is to finish the battle on the queen side first before you focus your attention on the king side. This is the easiest way to beat the French defense. Listen, you children of Bobby, as in Bobby Fischer. Now say, what if black plays knight f5, double attacking your d4 pawn, which is only defended once? Well, first you can defend it like this: knight f3, and if queen b6 comes, which most black players like playing, triple attacking your d4 pawn, which is only defended twice. This is where you can play bishop b2. Now you know the other idea of playing pawn to b4 very early in the opening stage. This is all theory, you guys. And how do you develop your knight, by the way? Since you can't develop it on c3 due to knight takes, you will develop it on d2 followed by this. And don't advance your a pawn because you're going to allow black to give you a check or just occupy the b4 square. So just go b5 and forget about a4. Anyway, in the game that was played yesterday, I was impressed by what Gukesh did on move number 7 right here after knight c6, pawn to a3, and surprisingly, many grandmasters and other content creators, including Levy, seemed to be surprised with this move. By the way, I was watching Levy's recap because I think it's just amazing when it comes to these things. And I heard him say, my man, Gukesh chose to play a3, a move that is almost never played at the top level in the Stannis variation. And in my mind, I was like, yeah, if I had white pieces, this is what I would have done also. Just playing a3, because this is the only thing I've been preaching about on this channel. Just play pawn to a3 against the French defense or against the Sicilian defense and other offbeat openings in order to finish the queenside battle first before focusing your attention on the king side. Anyway, it makes life easier. Now, before I move on to another opening showing you the importance of playing pawn to a3, once again, Ding played bishop e7 and then Gukesh played bishop e3. Point is, if pawn takes, he was still going to take back with a d pawn anyways, and after queen b6, maybe pawn to b4 is going to be played. I don't know, I have no idea, and that's why I'm not a chess champion or a super grandmaster. But what if Ding played the move pawn to a5 after a3? Let's look at this before we move on. Well, truth be told, this a5 move by black completely shuts down our idea of playing b4. So when you see this move, you want to forget about the queen side for the time being and start concentrating on the king side with these highlighted moves. I mean, the queen side is already locked. There's nothing happening on this side of the board. Black has no knight on f5 to pressurize our d pawn, so you better just play knight f3 or knight g3, or even better h4, which comes with another idea. If you just forget about the queen side, in other words. Say black plays queen b6, a normal French move. Yeah, you can go knight f3 if you want. Maybe this is when we might see pawn to f6. But again, look at this. If you want to be a better chess player, be an opportunist. Always look for new opportunities, weaknesses in your enemy's territory. So the move knight f4 should come immediately in your mind because there's something you're attacking on e6 for some reason. Maybe if pawn takes, of course you take. Maybe say pawn takes, you go knight takes. I think white is better if I'm not mistaken. They may try e4 for some reason, but you have knight fg5 and it's just anyone's game where the best tactician has to win. Bishop f4 looks attractive to me. Planning to put the bishop there. Next, you develop your light squared bishop and castle shot. Anyway, before I move on to the last part of the video, let me just clarify something. Regarding the 2024 Chess World Championship, I do not have a favorite. In fact, just like Garry Kasparov, I was going to be more interested in the World Championship if Magnus Carlsen was participating because, I mean, it's obvious he's the #1 chess player in the world. Not to insult any of the current participants, of course we need to move on, but you see, I love both Gukesh and Ding, and the best part of it is both guys are gentlemen. Of course, in the past I made my own prediction based on historical facts and Ding's experience. We all know Gukesh is playing this championship for the first time and he has many chances of winning. I'll be very much okay with it because I love Indians. Most of my friends are Indians and I love what they do. Same goes to Ding. I love Ding with all my heart. Talk of his humility, his style of chess. I mean, there's just nothing to hate about these two gentlemen. So forget about the nations, the people, the favorites. At the end of the day, it's just chess entertainment. That's all. So for me, it's not much of a stretch. e4, c5, the Sicilian defense. I covered this in my yesterday's video, or the video I published 2 days ago, where I was also discussing the move pawn to a3, the importance of it. Yes, you can play a3 even on the second move against the Sicilian defense. This is called the Mangarini variation, for those of you who don't know, by the way. And the plan might be the same. For example, if black plays pawn to e6, again, you can simply transpose this back to the French after pawn to c3. You know the key move in mind is pawn to b4, but you only want to play pawn to b4 after playing d4. Most people in this position play knight c6, after which you can simply go pawn to d4. And then this is when you're going to see them either taking or going pawn to d5 straight away. And lo, just like that, we are back once again to the French defense. You know, at times I feel every chess player must spend more time studying the French defense and how to defeat it as white. Why do I say so? Because there are many openings that transpose back to the French, such as the ones that we're reviewing right now. So this is one way the French defense can be reached from the Sicilian defense. Sometimes you can start with the Alpine variation straight away, go pawn to c3. There's no harm in playing pawn to c3. In fact, this is my favorite. Anyway, so that after black plays pawn to e6, you simply go d4. Even if they take, it doesn't even matter. You just take back, and if they play pawn to d5, you advance your e pawn. After knight c6, you go pawn to a3 once once again the Gukesh move, stopping bishop b4 or knight b4 in the near future. See what these guys do in their games, you guys. Now you understand how super grandmasters think in the opening stage. This is just a long-term prophylactic move that will support pawn to b4 maybe in the near future. See, after black plays something like queen b6, you still go knight f3 and you are cool. In fact, sometimes people like playing knight ge7. The purpose of playing knight ge7 is for them to go knight f5 and take on d4 with any of those pieces. But here you can just go knight c3. How do you defend the d4 pawn after knight f5? Bishop e3 is a decent move, even knight e2. But there's only one savior, your queen's knight in this position. Whenever you see knight f5, just ensure to counterattack your opponent's queen like this. Knight a4, there's nothing black can do in this position. They should just go back maybe to c7 or d8. Moves like queen a5 check will just run into pawn to b4, and this is why you play a3 on the second move or on the 60th move in the Alpine. Anyway, by the way, after e4, c5 and pawn to c3, if you are worried about pawn to d5, well, let me show you a simple trick. Again, you can just go pawn to e5. It's not much of a stretch. Position is equal. Here you just want to go d4 next and play pawn to a3, again the Gukesh move. But what if black plays pawn to d4 themselves first? Here there's a sneaky continuation that I want you guys to always remember. Instead of playing boring chess like knight f3 or pawn takes or pawn to d3, you better develop your light squad bishop with tempo. Give a check, somehow inviting black to block with their bishop since they can't block with their knee or with their elbow. And now the moment you see this move, this is when you sacrifice your bishop temporarily by playing pawn to e6. Who are you? And what do you do for a living? The point is, if bishop takes happens, no, you don't have queen h5, which we usually play when there's no pawn on c5. The move to remember in this position is either pawn takes right away or queen b3. But anyway, I like queen b3 because this is a direct attack on this bishop. But say, what if black just plays bishop c6? I mean, also attacking the g2 pawn. Are we not just losing? Nope, we have e takes f7 check, which comes with another attack. If anything, we can even promote into a donkey if we want, and we just promote into a queen. Point is, after rook takes, you don't even have to take that rook because you're going to lose some more material. So be wise, pap, you develop your knight. They don't have to give up their bishop pair. This is the only active piece they have. So they'll play something like pawn to e6, and then this is when you can take. Moves like d3 don't make sense due to this, pap or pap. So they play on to e6, and this is when you simply take. At the end of the day, you're going to be up a pawn with a superior position. That's what I'm talking about. So that was just something for you guys to remember. Never be afraid to go pawn to c3 after c5, and never be afraid to face pawn to d5 in the Sicilian defense. Now you know. The last opening where you can play pawn to a3, apart from the French and the Sicilian, I would say is the Belgrade Gambit, if I'm not mistaken. And this may go as follows. You start with e4, and then after black plays e5, you go knight f3 as if everything is okay. Then after knight c6, of course, you start with the 3 knights opening. At least 90% of the times you're going to face the 4 knights game. So this is to say, when you open up with the 3 knights, you're more likely going to see the 4 knights game on the board. You are guaranteed to see the move knight f6. Trust me with all your fingers. I play this all the time. Now, after knight f6, you have a lot of things to do here. One of which is this move pawn to a3. Again, if you check the Masters database, this has been played several times. Not by drunkards, but by respectable grandmasters. And I'm talking about very respectable super GMs like Magnus, who don't drink beer. Like Hikaru, for example. No. What can I mention? Like Caruana, for example. Anyway, you know, decent grandmasters out there who don't take alcohol. But anyway, after pawn to a3, I swear most of your opponents will play the move pawn to d5. This is the top played move, after which you can either take or simply go bishop b5. By the way, this is the Gunsberg variation or the Gansberg variation, not the Belgrade Gambit. Sorry for that. Point is, if pawn takes, you simply have knight takes e5 and you're going to win something here. If bishop d7, you can even go ahead and, you know, mess up black's pawn structure like this, or on the queen side and play queen e2, castle short. You are just going to be ahead in development and you're going to win back this pawn, by the way. Imagine after castling short, you will put your rook on e1 and it will be easier for you to get back that pawn. Instead of pawn takes, if black chooses to take with the knight, again, you just don't want to, blindly take. Move order does matter sometimes. Black has queen g5 in the near future if you take on e5. But anyway, they still have to work for their meal. So just to simplify your game, go queen e2 and forget about everything. Queen e2 is your savior in this line. You're going to get back material. But the question that begs to be answered is, why did we play pawn to a3? Once again, pawn to a3 serves the purpose to stop bishop b4, pin, and just knight b4 in some other lines. So it looks like a 1-0 move, but it does play a major role. You're not going to see bishop b4 when you play pawn to a3. That's the beauty. Share this video so that we can reach a larger audience. Anyway, if you liked this video, trust me, you will also like this other video that has popped up on your screen, so you don't want to be left out. Now, go and check out 3 of my new courses on my website, KaspaChess.com, that I highly recommend you get right now.